828 meters of glass and steel, $1.5 billion, the tallest structure human beings have ever built. You have seen the postcard shot 1,000 times. The needle piercing the clouds over Dubai, glowing gold at sunset, fireworks pouring off it on opening night. What you have not seen is what is actually happening inside that needle right now. There is one thing Dubai worked hardest to hide, and if you want to know what it is, stick around until the end, because here is the thing nobody tells you when they show you that skyline photo. A building this tall should not be able to stand perfectly still. And in a very real sense, this one does not. Even the number 828 was not always the number. For most of construction, the tower's true final height was kept a closely guarded secret, adjusted as the project went on, revealed to the public only on the night it opened. Officially, that was to keep rival developers from racing to build something taller before the ribbon was even cut. But it also meant the one statistic this entire project existed to claim, the tallest building on the planet, was something the public was simply told to trust, right up until the lights came on. Start with the wind. At this height, wind stops being weather and becomes a structural load, the same category of force as gravity itself. Engineers ran the tower through wind tunnel testing on a scaled model, and the numbers that came back were not comfortable. The wind engineering team at RWDI calculated the tower needed to survive gusts approaching 240 kilometers per hour, and even far short of that, ordinary desert wind pushes a building this slender enough that people near the top have described feeling seasick. Not scared, seasick. Interior panels creak audibly on windier days, and the structure itself shifts roughly 1.5 meters, close to 5 feet, off its center line in strong wind. Engineers had seen this exact failure before. A tower in Boston once swayed so badly in ordinary wind that its glass panels started popping out of their frames, and the fix cost millions in emergency steel bracing after the building was already finished. Nobody wanted a repeat of that, 1/2 mile in the air, in front of the entire world. So, most skyscrapers this tall carry a giant swinging counterweight near the top, a tuned mass damper, hundreds of tons of steel hung on cables specifically to fight the sway. Taipei 101 has one you can walk up and look at through glass. The Burj Khalifa has none of that. Instead, its architects gave it a Y-shaped footprint, 3 wings buttressing a central hexagonal core, twisting and tapering as it climbs so the wind can never settle into a rhythm to push against. No pendulum, no hanging weight, just geometry, betting that the right shape can outthink a hurricane. It works, but it means the tallest building on Earth is holding itself together with a mathematical trick rather than a physical safety net. And math has no margin for a mistake nobody caught in time. That is the first crack behind the postcard. Here is the second, and it has nothing to do with engineering at all. This tower was not always called the Burj Khalifa. For most of its construction, the world knew it as the Burj Dubai, a monument built to announce one Emirate's arrival on the world stage. Then 2008 happened. The global financial crisis hit Dubai's property market like a wrecking ball, and the Emirate bankrolling this half-mile spike into the sky suddenly could not cover its own debts. The rescue came from next door. Abu Dhabi stepped in with a bailout large enough to keep cranes moving and workers paid. And on opening night, January 4th, 2010, in front of the cameras, the tower's own name was quietly swapped out. It was rededicated instead to Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, the ruler whose money had just saved it. The record-breaking monument to Dubai's glory became, at the exact moment of its unveiling, a monument to somebody else's rescue package. And the humiliation did not stop there. Here is the number that should stop you cold. 9 months after that opening night, with the fireworks barely swept off the plaza, a Dubai property agent told reporters that roughly 90% of the tower's 900 apartments sat completely empty, not sold and waiting on movers. Empty? Asking rents had already collapsed by close to half. Studios once listed near $3,000 a month were being begged out the door for under $2,000. And owners who had paid close to $1 million for a one-bedroom unit back in 2008 were fielding calls from lookers who toured, went quiet, and never confirmed. The tallest building on the planet opened its doors to a for rent sign nobody wanted photographed. Real estate agents kept fielding the same question from prospective tenants, viewing after viewing. If this building is really the crown jewel of Dubai, why does almost nobody actually live here yet? Even now, Walk through this tower floor by floor on paper, and you find something stranger than an empty apartment. You find floors that cannot be occupied at all, by anyone, at any price. The Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat, the industry body that certifies these records in the first place, ran the numbers itself. The highest floor anyone can actually stand on sites at 585 meters. Everything above that, all 244 remaining meters of spire, is officially unoccupiable. That is 29% of the record-breaking height, sealed off before a single tenant can ever set foot inside it. Near the very top, the tower tapers so aggressively that its floor plates shrink down almost to nothing, too narrow and too structurally sensitive to hold offices or homes. Those floors exist purely to house mechanical rooms, communication equipment, and the maintenance access the building needs just to keep functioning. If that unusable spire stood on its own, on the ground, it would rank among Europe's tallest buildings in its own right, live on one of the floors that does count, and a different kind of absurdity waits every single day. The elevator system is one of the tower's proudest achievements, banks of high-speed cars engineered to travel faster than any building on the planet. And yet, residents near the top routinely describe something they call elevator fatigue, switching between separate elevator banks partway up, waiting on connections, losing real time twice a day just to get home, inside the one building that was supposed to have solved that exact problem completely. Even the skin of the building was a fight. Dubai summers regularly pass 50 degrees Celsius, and ordinary glass would have cooked the tower from the outside in. Crews brought in hundreds of cladding specialists to install reflective glazing layered with aluminum and textured stainless steel, tested against a literal World War II aircraft engine to simulate wind and water, hammering the surface for decades. The building looks effortless from the ground. Almost none of that effort is visible. So, a tower with no counterweight, fighting hurricane-force wind on math alone. A name quietly rewritten the night it opened, admitting whose money actually saved it. A 90% vacancy nobody wanted photographed. A third of its own height sealed off as dead space nobody can use. Skin engineered against heat that would have cooked a lesser building alive. All that sits behind the postcard. But stay with me, because what comes next is worse. None of it is the part Dubai worked hardest to keep out of frame. The tower took roughly 22 million man-hours to build, across 6 years, with as many as 12,000 workers on site at once during the peak of construction, in desert heat that regularly passed 50 degrees Celsius, hundreds of meters above the ground. That labor came overwhelmingly from migrant workers brought in from South Asia, and the criticism that followed this project long after the ribbon cutting was never about wind loads or vacancy rates. It was about the men who poured that concrete and rode those cranes up into that heat every single morning. Reports described wages far below what workers had been promised before they ever left home, and passports confiscated on arrival, a practice that left men unable to simply walk away from the job even if they wanted to. Housing for the labor force was crowded far outside the city. Out of sight of the tourists and buyers the tower was built to impress, and labor rights groups spent years afterward pushing Dubai to reform the sponsorship system tied to all of it. Some of those reforms reportedly came. Many workers who built this tower never saw the benefit of them. The tallest achievement in the history of construction was raised, floor by floor, on top of people who had no real way to say no.